Michael, who was playing in the field with 3 kids, but then just walks away with the one white little girl
into a cave.
Into a cave of spider webs.
Doesn't that look great? It's a wonderful visual.
It's just pulling her. She's like, Michael, can we go back? And he's like, Katie, come on.
Let's go into this cave.
Let's go into this cave.
Right.
Follow me into the cave.
That's
which
right.
in 2025 doesn't wear well. Michael Jackson pulling any grown man pulling a little kid into a cave.
1988. I don't know how much they were PSAs. Hey kids, remember if Michael Jackson ever shows up and asks you to go into a cave with him, it's perfectly fine.
I was waiting for Mr. T to come from behind a rock. No, you don't, Katie. Stay away from Michael Jackson.
Don't go in the caves with Michael Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. T.
Drink your milk. Say no to drugs. Listen to your mom and your daddy. Do your homework.
Go kick the soccer ball.
Don't go in the caves with Michael Jackson.
Young Drunk.
Welcome to the Michaeux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I'm joined as always by my partner.
Hey, holla at your boy. This is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble.
And on our first stop in February of 2025, we are going to spend a little time with the King of Pop as he shows perhaps he's the king of film. With an anthology of music and mixed media created, directed, masterminded by Michael Jackson. 1988's Moonwalker, brought to you by Len Webb. But before we get to moonwalking and dirty Diana-ing and speed demoning, how are you, Len? Good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Vincent. I am doing very well. Thank you for asking. And shout out to each and every one of you out there in the chat as we are streaming live to YouTube right there, as well as Facebook and LinkedIn. Don't forget our friends at LinkedIn. And we are streaming from Young Junk, Philadelphia's premier video palace. See what I did there? I had to roll with it. What?
Stop doing voices.
I'm doing that.
Jim Henson, just go.
Jim Henson only actually did one voice. He did Kermit's voice. He didn't do other voices. It was Frank Oz that did
Frank Oz that did the voices.
Yes. So, where was I? Take 2. We are streaming live. We're streaming live from Young Junk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace, to all points north, south, east, and west. Hello, missionaries.
Good evening, one and all.
All right. Before we jump into the show, Vincent, I wanted to touch base with you because we are geeks, so we got to get a little geek speak out of the way. Did you see the trailer for the Fantastic Four?
I did see the trailer. I did.
What did you think of the trailer for the Fantastic Four? I
am cautiously optimistic.
Ooh.
I do like the fact that it looks like they're taking a big swing.
Okay. By
the style.
Okay. Because it's a period piece.
Maybe.
I think they've said.
It's retro-futuristic, but I don't know if it's actually set in the 60s.
I believe they have said that it is set in the 60s. Yes.
So I love the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
I love the cast.
So do I.
Frankly, I think even the cast is a bit of a big swing.
Yes.
Like no one in the cast looks necessarily like the Marvel media idol superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Like they actually look like they could have been scientists and pilots and the chick who the main guy loves, little brother. But I love that. Like in my mind, that's what the Fantastic Four shouldn't look like an Asgardian god or a doped up super soldier.
No, exactly.
So, and you?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I have I don't know if I've ever like really put it out there, but like we're both big comic book heads, and I am, unabashedly a Batman guy. But second only to Batman, as far as my comic book love, is the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Sure.
So I have really been looking forward to somebody getting their hands on doing something that at least feels 100% authentic to the property, and this does. I love the style of it. I was telling friends on Cult Pop that if the Incredibles movie was live action, this is exactly what it would look like.
Exactly.
And which everybody said when they saw that movie, oh my God, this feels like the Fantastic Four.
Clearly they pulled from that first 100 issues of the Fantastic Four, which, like you, I think it's the greatest single run of comic books ever created.
It very very well may be. So I am really again, like you said, cautiously optimistic, because you don't get a whole lot of the story, even though if you're a comic book head, you got enough of the story that you're like, I saw enough that I don't need to see any other trailers.
Sure.
I don't need to see anything else. I am there. I was going to be there anyway, but I am locked in. I am going to be there. Must see viewing July, I think 25th.
Sure.
For Fantastic Four.
All right.
I am there. So.
All right.
Well done, Marvel. Yeah. Let's see if you bring it home.
All right.
All right. Let's get to it. Let's hear from our fans, AKA the missionaries, and your emails, or as we like to call them,
missives from the missionaries. So what else is going on, Len?
We have emails, Vincent.
Ooh, missives from the missionaries. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, missives from the missionaries.
Missives from the missionaries, Vincent. We got an email from Nicholas.
Hey, what's up, Nick?
Subject line is unpopular opinions on Black movie soundtracks.
Okay.
Good evening, Len, Vincent, missionaries. I have a little game called Give Me Your Unpopular Opinions on Black Movie Soundtracks. I'll go first.
Okay.
While Poetic Justice is a meh movie, it doesn't help that the soundtrack wasn't memorable either. The Strictly Business soundtrack is an underrated soundtrack that is not talked about enough. While the Juice soundtrack is iconic and holds up really well, I feel icky about Don't Be Afraid by Aaron Hall.
You should.
Is it a catchy song? Sure. But listening to it again, as well as rewatching the movie Juice, I couldn't help to say how the lyrics to that song are questionable. Maybe I'm not an Aaron Hall fan after all. Would love to hear your thoughts. Nick. You say that he should feel icky about Don't Be Afraid.
Yeah, because I believe the lyrics are something along the lines like you're locked in here and nobody can hear you.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so.
Yes. And that is making me horny, I believe is one of the one of the lines of the song.
Right.
So unpopular opinions on Black movie soundtrack. I mean, actually, when you go into the 90s, late 80s and 90s, where the business pretty much was making meh movies and then just finding a whole bunch of like B tracks.
I agree.
From no established artists and maybe a couple of tracks some up and coming artists, and you call that a soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to find some soundtracks that are going to be very hit or miss.
Yeah.
I
think most of the soundtracks from the 90s were bad. Because I think they they followed the formula that you just said, where the record company just put some songs on an album. I think there were very few Black films that had actual soundtracks.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, there's Soul Food, there's the aforementioned Juice, Waiting to Exhale. Was an actual soundtrack. But yes, so many of them. Boomerang was a great soundtrack.
Yeah. And I think now, I could be wrong, but Boomerang always struck me as a soundtrack that was a lot of good songs, but they just all worked. with the movie.
Right.
I don't know whether or not they actually give you the vibe of the movie, but they work.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So, but thank you, Nick, for your email. We really appreciate that. We got another email, Vincent. This is from Belinda Silber.
Hey, what's up, Belinda?
Dear sirs, I've seen a 1936 movie twice titled Petrified Forest. Oh, this one must be for me. It's a 1936 movie. I've seen a 1936 movie twice titled Petrified Forest, which I have seen a couple of times.
Sure. You sat in the balcony and ate some black licorice and some potted meat and averted your gaze when white people walked by.
I want to know what white people didn't come into the balcony.
Right.
That was blacks only.
Right.
There are two black characters in this film. One is a chauffeur and the other, Slim, is part of Humphrey Bogart's gang. What stood out to me both times as how the characters are portrayed. Slim is never identified by color or race. He has a fair amount of dialogue with Bogart, and he doesn't speak in dialect. No cooning, shucking, or jiving, just part of the gang. He is not subservient in any way. As a matter of fact, he even has a conversation with the chauffeur about his job, and I even think he mentions that there's a revolution or something like that. It is also interesting that the chauffeur is portrayed positively and also speaks normally. How did they get away with these portrayals in 1936? Thank you, Belinda Silber of Chicago. I remember that from the Petrified Forest because the character of Slim, who actually I think is played by an actor who goes by the name of Slim Goodman, I think, or something like that. But he is like, he definitely is. I think it's like a 3-man or 4-man crew. Mm-hmm. Like the movie, The Humphrey Petrified Forest, about Humphrey Bogart is like this gangster on the run, and he goes into this this gas station and holds the people hostage.
Okay,
you know. And one of the people that is in the gas station is played by Betty Davis. Okay. But Slim is like definitely like one of the like the third or fourth guy on the team. But he definitely is one of the guys. He's not like, you know, like the runner or anything like that. And he definitely, she's right, because there is a scene. One of the people that are being held hostage is like this rich guy and his wife. And that's the chauffeur is their chauffeur. Mm-hmm. And Slim comes in. Oh, God. Slim comes in because I think he was watching outside, and he comes in as like, yo, everybody eating? Can I eat? He's like, yeah, go in the back and get something to eat. And he walks past the chauffeur, and he's like, come on, brother, let's go eat. And the chauffeur's like, no, I'll be right here with like Mr. whomever. And I think like the rich guy says like, no, like you can go and get some food. And Slim's like, he said you can eat. Come on, let's go eat. And then they go off in the kitchen and you know, you don't see them. But
I have to say, you're selling eating. This. Like, this sounds like an interesting movie.
It's an interesting movie.
Does Slim die at the end?
No.
Okay.
He doesn't.
Certainly he's arrested, as all evildoers must.
Actually, as I think about it, in 1936, this may have been before the
pre-Hays Code.
Pre-Hays Code, so the criminal doesn't have to get caught at the end. Because I'm trying to remember whether or not he actually gets caught at the end.
Okay.
I just remembered the twist of the movie. Because there is a bit of a twist, because there's another guy in there played by Leslie Howard, this white guy. He's in there who falls in love with Betty Davis.
Sure, as one does.
And
I mean, it's the eyes. It was a whole song about it in the
80s. And this is young Betty Davis, and I'm still like, But he does this whole thing where he like, you know, like is taken up for her honor or something like that. It's an interesting movie.
It sounds interesting. It really does.
For 1936.
Okay.
It's interesting. All right. So thank you, Belinda. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And how they got away with it, I think, honestly, it's just them just playing it straight. And when you play it straight, it's not a getting away with it.
I mean, I think you just said it in passing. It's pre-Hays Code.
Well, I don't think the Hays Code had anything to do with how the races are portrayed in the movie.
Yeah, I just think it was, by definition, less stringent. Like it was a little more loosey-goosey.
Okay, but Lucy. Okay, maybe. Either way, it's an interesting movie.
Okay.
Petrified Forest. And thank you for your email, Believer.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. All right, we've got another email. This one is from Miss Makiba.
Hey, Miss Makiba.
Good evening, men of Michaeux. Hopefully you both have enjoyed the first week of Black History Month, despite the current madness we're all experiencing under the Orange Menace.
Always.
I'm writing to express how grateful I am that the Michaeux Mission took up the banner of my weigh-ins crusade. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
After hearing several missionaries shoot their professional shots to invite you both as guests on their newly launched podcast and catching a replay of the Tell 'em We Are Rising review with Stephanie Watts, I would like to submit a very decent proposal. How can we coordinate schedules for Weigh-ins Movies Month? Weigh-ins Movies Month.
Yeah.
I, too, would love to make it out of the comments section as a third mic for any or all of the weigh-ins reviews. As you will see in the attached photos, I have already begun dissertation-level research because if I stay ready, I won't have to get ready.
I know that's right.
And she has here, she's got everything. And she's got a book about African-American horror, humor.
Okay.
Homie, don't play that. The book about the Wayans family in living color CD. DVDs. She is ready. As always, I'll see you when it's time to meet again. Miss Makiba.
All right.
Oh my God. Thank you, Miss Makiba. Thank you, Miss Makiba.
Thank you.
Oh man, that is so dope.
Yeah.
And you know what? We'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch.
Most definitely. All right, we got one more email.
All right.
This is from Michael Lockett.
What's up, Michael?
Greetings, brothers. Before I get into anything, I'd like to hand you guys the bottle of Bactine for the wounds you've received over your status as mature Black men. I'm in my early 50s, if that is any consolation. Well, welcome to the club, Michael. Last week's films, as well as my time travel landy spots, have me cheesing. I love me some us. We as a people, and I'm talking the whole diaspora, but with special attention to our U.S. delegation, are the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we touch ends up blessed. Bacurau is a incredible film.
Mm-hmm.
Watching this bold vision of Blackness has altered my own storytelling. This is one of the few Black films I've seen where we don't hold back or soften our expression or vibrant life. Very, very true.
Yeah.
And I will hand that, share your review of Bacurau with our guest, Darren Wallace, who actually really enjoyed
himself. Glad.
Yeah, he really enjoyed himself. He was telling me at work.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Good guess.
On my time travels, I landed first at If Beale Street Could Talk. This is a beautiful movie that does justice to the work of Baldwin.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slice of Black life at its best. Barry Jenkins is my Aaron Sorkin. He can make a lot of talking and drama captivating. I would love to see him take on sci-fi, horror, westerns, and war movies. Well, he took on some CG in Mufasa, which he says he will never do again.
Well, I just hope the money he made off of this thing frees him up.
I think it will.
Yeah.
I think it will. I understand.
Because it's still making money.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
After that top shelf offering, I landed on another, House Party.
Yeah.
This was a slice of my youth.
Mm-hmm.
Middle-class Black kid with a fade, skirting trouble with my boys to keep from getting my ass beat, all while trying to figure out how to pull a honey.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is a heartwarming slice of Black Americana and is low-key poignant in its depictions of interactions with the Popo.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Since Kid, and more importantly, Play, was central in this movie, I felt it was my duty to bring to the missionaries, not in the know, Len's landmine list. These are people or subjects you should avoid stepping in or on with Len.
Yeah.
Number one. Van People's Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song.
Yeah.
Yes.
Len not a fan.
Not a fan.
Len's not a fan.
Not at all. Number two.
Mm-hmm.
Timok and the Last Dragon.
Also not a fan.
Not a fan, but I recognize its cult status.
Okay.
But not a fan. Number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Play.
Yeah.
As part of the duo on wax, animated, or on film.
It's a very confusing one.
Yes. And can I tell you that for some reason, interviews with Kid and Play have been turning up in my YouTube algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is annoying me because I'm looking at Play there with his dyed hairline.
They're fascinating, though.
Yeah, I find
They're
them
fascinating.
I find them
Kid and Play are fascinating.
I find them uninteresting.
You haven't actually listened to any.
I have listened to a couple of them.
Haven't.
I have.
Then you're just not telling the truth.
I know they gave props to Lady B.
I'm not talking about props. I mean, just that like they were there.
I know, but I like Kid.
Like you can't even get these sentences out because you know, like it hurts you to tell the truth. But like you cannot say objectively, Kid and Play aren't fascinating to listen to.
I like Kid. Kid looks like he's had a rough life.
You can't say you like Kid and not like Play vis-a-vis these interviews because they're both giving the same interview.
Number 4. Number 4, crimes against common knowledge. Like, there's 3 of us, but we're not the Beatles. King of Rock by Run DMC.
Yeah.
Number 5, Tyler Perry's Acrimony, a film by Tyler Perry from Tyler Perry and other movies like this. And number 6, South Street's cheesesteak tourist spots and those who rep them as actually good. Did I miss any others, Mr. Webb or Mr.
Jim's is actually a good steak.
Jim's is not a bad steak.
Jim's is a good steak.
Yeah. It's not a bad steak.
Yeah. I think this may be like I think people don't understand that like Pat's and Geno's aren't actually on South Street.
Right, they're actually further away.
Further over.
Yeah. Jim's on South Street is not bad.
And I have to say, as someone who moved to Philadelphia, the way y'all talk about Ishkabibbles has confused me for over 20 years now.
I agree with you. I'm not that. People hail Ishkabibbles.
People talk about Ishkabibbles like, and I keep going. Like I've been to Ishkabibbles 5 times, and every time I go, I think, well, maybe I just caught a bad one.
Well, first of all, when did you move to Philly?
2002, maybe 2000.
That may have been past its prime because Ishkabibbles definitely was a thing even in the
like
80s and 90s.
Talk about the chicken cheese steak at Ishkabibbles, like
yeah, I know. Like it's like the Willy Wonka,
and it has confused me.
It's not. I do remember at one time eating it and enjoying it, but that was definitely in the 90s.
Okay,
definitely in the 90s, and it's past its prime. To that point, I got a Chubby's chicken cheesesteak this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Enjoyed that. All right. Finally, Michael concludes, as I am mad late to the convo, the songs that made me love hip hop were Rock the Bells by LL Cool J.
Okay.
Run DMC Live at the Funhouse. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, a deep B-boy cut, All Nafis, The Soul by Hashim. You know this song?
It sounded like you were having a fit just now. I didn't even think I didn't think you were saying words. I was about to go get you a hard candy.
ALNAAFYSH.
I'm not familiar.
Me neither.
Okay.
And in parentheses, The Soul by Hashim.
I'm not familiar.
Most people know this song as It's Time. Well, why don't you just...
He was on some hipster nonsense. You may know it as this, but those of us in the know it as series of clicks and beeps, consonants and vowel sounds stitched together.
Michael just proved that he is one of us because we probably would nerd if we knew it, we'd have nerded out like that too. Right. So I can't even be mad at you, Michael.
Right.
I can't even be mad.
Hey, what you know about hubba dabba 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 hubba? Like, I don't even, like, those were not even words you were saying. I was sitting over here talking about being old. I was like, is this Negro having a stroke?
Here's the thing. You were sitting over there asking whether or not I'd have a stroke. If I was having a stroke.
I was trying to be cool in case, the show must go on.
If I was having a stroke, so you were like, Dylan, I believe Len is having a stroke. Might you call the ambulance while I continue on with...
Do we have theme music for that?
Nervo Mountain was in...
Oh boy.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that is an email.
Thank you.
Feel free to send your emails if you want to hear your thoughts read here aloud on the Michaeux Mission. Send them to micheauxmission@gmail.com. And with that, is now time for us to move into the top 5.
Top 5. Who's your top 5?
Where I come up with a list, I read it to Vincent and you, and he shares with all of us his scintillating commentary on the list. Vincent, we're going to keep it in theme.
Okay.
We are going to be reviewing Moonwalker tonight from 1988, which is, as you mentioned, an anthology of shorts of music videos by Michael Jackson. But in some of the videos, there is a bit of a narrative story in there.
Yes.
As Michael Jackson was long sought some type of movie project.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Upon which he could be the star of.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And Moonwalker, this may be the closest that he ever comes to it. Actually, that I think about it.
This may be Captain EO.
Okay, fair enough. But Captain EO was done for a select audience.
Sure.
So with that, regardless of that, while he was looking for a project that he could star in, Michael Jackson had acted. Because he famously got his acting debut in The Wiz.
Sure.
The adaptation of the stage play.
Sure.
And continuing a tradition of singers who wanted to act as well.
Absolutely.
All right. So here we have the top 5, or perhaps the lower 5 of the singers who think they can act.
Singers that think they can act. Okay.
Yes.
Who we got?
Starting with number 5. From 2001, Mariah Carey.
Okay.
In Glitter.
Yeah, terrible.
Which was directed, I did not know this, by Vondie Curtis Hall.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
I did not know that either.
He doesn't talk about that.
Well,
he never mentions Glitter.
We don't talk about Glitter.
Right.
Glitter, which starred Mariah Carey as Billy Frank, an aspiring singer who, along with her friends Louise, played by the Brat, and Roxanne, played by Tia Texada, tried to make it in the music business, where Timothy Walker, played by Terrence Howard, offers them a contract as backup singers to another singer. Glitter was heavily panned by critics and audience and was a box office bomb, with Mariah Carey winning the Golden Raspberry for Worst Actress. Some went on to call it one of the worst films of all time. It opened in 1,996 theaters and grossed $2.5 million in its first week. Mariah Carey would later say in a 2002 interview that it originally had a lot more substance, but ended up being targeted towards 10 years old. She said, and I quote, "It lost a lot of its grit. It was gritless, in fact. I kind of got in over my head with Glitter."
Yeah. She was legitimately good in Precious, though.
She was. She actually proved that she could, I mean, now Precious is almost 20 years, maybe more than 20 years later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay.
But I'm just saying, so
Right.
you're mature just as a person.
Right. She was terrible in Glitter.
She was horrible in Glitter, and Glitter's a horrible movie.
Yeah, but she bounced back in Precious, and I wouldn't mind if she maybe did something else based on Precious.
Based on her performance in Precious.
All right, so okay. All right.
Number four. We have from 2012, an American military science fiction action film that I actually saw in theaters.
Okay.
That's directed by Peter Berg, starring Taylor Kitsch and Alexander Skarsgård, and in her feature film debut, Rihanna. It is Battleship.
Why did you see this in the movie?
I can't remember.
What is the course of events that happened in sequence that culminated in you saying, we should go see Battleship?
First of all, I didn't say I said we should go see Battleship.
Did someone kidnap you?
I said I saw it in the theaters. Sometimes
someone just
got to take it for the team.
Some woman.
It's not chasing after some woman.
It wasn't no dude who suggested this. There's absolutely no way a man suggested this to you. And you said, you know what, Cornelius, that does sound like a good idea.
Look, man, when you live the life that I do, and you have to take people to see certain superhero films, they have absolutely no desire to be within 20 feet of.
All right, so
sometimes you got to go
do. Okay, all right. Fair enough.
So I saw Battleship.
Fair enough, and I assume it wasn't that good.
Oh my God, it was a waste of time.
Yeah,
it was a waste. It was a waste of time. Rihanna she actually is not crazy bad in it.
I know she's not, because when people talk about it, like, people don't say Rihanna ruined it.
Right. It's just it's a dumb movie.
Right.
It's first of all, if you know the game Battleship, it's based on the game.
You mean the science fiction movie based on the board game was a terrible movie? Really?
Well, sometimes those work.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
I'm trying to think of one.
I would maybe I'll give you Clue, but Clue didn't involve aliens and
that wasn't science fiction.
Right, that wasn't science fiction.
That didn't work. Okay.
All right.
I can't come up with one.
Because they don't exist.
Mario Brothers work. It's not science fiction.
It didn't actually work.
But the movie was made $1 billion. The animated movie.
Oh, you mean the anime? Oh, okay. I thought you meant I thought you meant like the one from.
Oh no,
no.
I
thought you meant the one from like 20 years.
No.
Hey, it's me. I'm out of here.
No, not that one.
So Rihanna's okay.
So Rihanna is bad in that.
Okay.
But to your point, like Mariah Carey proved herself in Precious, Rihanna will prove herself at least as a voice actor.
Yes, in Home.
In Home.
Yes.
She actually is very good in Home.
She is.
So,
yeah. All right.
So there you go.
All right.
Number 3. This is when I came to this show knowing that I was going to get in trouble on tonight's show. Mostly for what's happening later. But this point may get me in trouble.
Oh, well, see, I know somebody who should be on this list, and I'm trying to see if you're actually going to poke the beehive or not.
Oh, yeah. I see what you did there. But no.
Okay.
Number 3. From 1990. Graffiti Bridge. With Prince.
Yeah.
Who is bad.
He's terrible in Graffiti Bridge.
Bad in that movie.
Absolutely.
Bad movie.
Yeah.
And just really, in 1991, Prince was quoted as saying about Graffiti Bridge, is one of the purest, most spiritual, uplifting things that he'd ever done.
And there it is right there.
It was nonviolent, positive, and had no blatant sex scenes. Maybe it will take people 30 years to get it. They trashed The Wizard of Oz at first, too.
He said this in what year?
1991.
So 30 years after 1991 would have been 2021?
Yes.
So 4 years ago, he thought maybe we would have reevaluated it.
Graffiti Bitch.
Right. No. He took himself way too seriously.
Way.
In Graffiti Bridge.
He did.
Like, I actually enjoy Under the Cherry Moon.
I know you do.
Because he does kind of, like, you can tell it's kind of tongue in cheek, and he's having fun. But yeah, he's so po-faced in Graffiti Bridge, but okay, that's a good one.
All right, number two from 2000, an American action hood film written and directed by Robert Adutoyi. Turn It Up, starring two singers. That thought they could act. Ja Rule.
Oh my God.
And Pras of the Fugees, as well as Faith Evans.
I don't know if I've ever even heard of this.
I've heard of it. I've seen it just in happenstance. Not in the theaters or anything like that. Proof that this was a bad movie. This movie had a budget of $13 million. Throughout its theatrical run, it grossed $1.2 million.
I'm trying to see who paid that to go see it.
A flop. Well, Ja Rule probably bought out a theater. That's probably what happened. That is probably what happened. And Turn It Up, basically another hood film from the late 90s, 2000s. Pras, who was always the least interesting of the Fugees. I don't know why anybody would have thought that he should be the lead in a film. And Ja Rule, who I don't care what anybody says, is either a $4 Tupac or a $3 DMX. Just a total waste of time.
Always thought Ghetto Superstar was the worst thing that happened to the Fugees because it made Pras take himself
too seriously.
And by too seriously, like I felt like Pras should have always went home every night and thanked all of the various deities that he was in the room when Wyclef and Lauryn Hill decided to do something together. Yeah, that's
bad, right?
Yeah, that's
all right. So there we have it. Number one.
And number one would
however, is a favorite, talk about poking a bear, a favorite whipping post here at the Mission from 1998, written and directed by famed video director Hype Williams. In his feature film directing debut. Nas and DMX. In Belly.
Now, who are you pointing to in this, Nas or DMX?
I'm actually pointing to Nas.
Okay, perfect.
I'm pointing to Nas because DMX.
I think go ahead.
He gets it over. He's got the charisma.
I think DMX's film career is respectable.
Yeah.
Like,
because he stays in his lane.
He stays in his lane. What he's asked to do. I think DMX is fun. Like, I would hire DMX to head a 90s sort of movie. Like, DMX, frankly, are they still making Expendables movies?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, that's too bad. Because I think DMX could have been. Wait.
But DMX is no longer with us.
DMX died. All right. But you see what I'm saying? Like, that speed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought DMX was fun.
I was wondering where you were going.
Yeah.
But you said in the 90s, I was like, all right, please.
Now, Nas was terrible. But you know what I respect about Nas?
What?
I'm not doing that no more.
Ain't nobody asking him.
Okay. Nas could have been, if Pras could have been in the movie, Nas could have been in the movie.
Okay, and they asked him to be in the movie, and ain't nobody asked him since.
No, I think they asked him after Belly, and Nas said, that's just not my speed.
Oh, you want people to have asked him.
Why do you think no one asked Nas to be in Belly 2, Belly Up, or Belly-ish, or Stomach?
Bellyache.
Right. Like, why are you acting like Nas it couldn't be in a movie and Master P has been on like 3 movies?
Because Master P bankrolls his own movies. That's the reason why Master P is in the movie. No, and everybody that would think about asking Nas saw Belly, and they're not asking Nas.
I think Nas could have been in a movie if he wanted to.
Here's the thing about Nas, and I'm not knocking Nas, right? But at the time where, and I think this is actually, I'm going to talk about this a little bit in our review. At the time where music videos were really hot, right? And they were like these multi-million-dollar like ventures.
Mm-hmm.
This is what fooled a whole lot of actors, rappers, primarily, but singers as well, into thinking they could act because they could just, like they looked good in a film that loosely had some kind of narrative through line through their songs, right? But if you go back and look at the videos of Nas, which aren't that many, but there are a few, Nas doesn't really come off in those videos. Now, I agree. He's got some good direction in them, but he don't really, like, his charisma does not, Nas' charisma is all lyrical.
I was just about to say Nas has the same challenge that Rakim does.
Yes, exactly.
It's like what you just said. It's all lyrical, but as a persona, it's like a paper bag.
Which is why, to your point, nobody has asked Nas after Belly to be in anything,
because they ask all kinds of people to be in all kinds of stuff.
Well, apparently not, because they ain't asked Nas.
I think they did ask him, and he said, "I don't want to do this."
No, you want to believe that they asked him. They did not ask him.
All of the complete garbage that has been everywhere all the time since whatever year Belly came out. Like, for you to think no one asked Nas, like every single garbagey black thing ever. That's been everywhere. You think they skipped over Nas and went to everybody else?
Yes, they gave somebody else a shot. And some people didn't make it work, like Ed Love and Dr. Dre. Everybody thought, who's the man? If you could actually capture the chemistry, I mean, I'm going back a little bit, but if you capture the chemistry that they had on their show into a film, you had something there. It didn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work. With Nas, it did not work. And I don't believe that anybody went back to him.
Also, I think quietly, Belly had enough of a fan base.
It's one of them cult classic type of things, I guess. But
you're saying cult classic, I guess. People love Belly.
I don't know if people love Belly. Well, okay, there are people that love Belly.
There are people that love Belly.
There are people that love Belly, but they don't love Nas and Belly. They love DMX.
Is that the whole list?
That's the list.
Okay. All right.
That's the list. Now, to your little poking of the beehive that you mentioned, there was a part of me that wanted to point to one of her performances. You're talking about, of course, Beyonce, one of her performances. But as I stacked up her performances against these five, I actually didn't think that, I thought that these ranked lower than her performance.
That's fair. Like, if you're only going to do five, I think I would have picked those five over her.
Yeah. So that's what it was.
All right.
So there you go.
All right. There you go.
All right. So that's the top five.
All right.
All right. Now we are moving on to the Game of Kings that we have titled 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin. 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, where I come up with 2 actors, present them to Vincent, and he has 6 films or less to connect them to D'Urville Martin. And one-man 70s blaxploitation action romantic star that you all know and love.
We do.
Vincent, keeping it in theme, we are reviewing Moonwalker, starring one Michael Jackson.
We are.
So I am presenting you with 2 other Jacksons that you have to connect to D'Urville Martin.
Okay.
Starting with, in 6 films or less, connect D'Urville Martin to Curtis Jackson, a.k.a. 50 Cent.
Oh. This is a really good one. Because I hate 50 Cent. I don't think
the man.
I don't think he's that talented, and everything that I've seen about his public persona, he seems like an asshole.
Oh,
so like lack of talent, and you're not a nice person. I've very intentionally avoided him his entire career. Also felt like he personified everything I hated about hip hop. Like his whole deal when he came out was
the protege of Eminem, right?
That he had got shot 19 times. Like and he just was real muscly. Like no one ever talked about him as an MC. He was just
True.
He was just real muscly, and he got shot 19 times. All right. So I know he was that film was a Get Rich or Die Trying.
Yes, that was.
But again, I very much avoided that, so I don't know who's in that at all.
50 Cent is in that movie.
Thank you. Helpful. That's what they say about you. Wait, I thought about DMX. Wasn't he in an Expendables? He's in an Expendables.
He is, but he is in one particular one, so you can't just say.
No, we're not doing that. What is it?
I'm sorry.
Is he in one?
No.
Is he in two?
No.
Is he in three? How many of them did they make?
He's not in 3.
Is he in 4?
Yes.
All right. I hate him so much, but at least this will give me a chance to talk about Penitentiary 2. All right. So D'Urville Martin is, of course, in Dolomite with Rudy Ray Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy Ray Moore is in Penitentiary 2 with Mr. T.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. T is in Rocky 3 with Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
And Sylvester Stallone is in Expendables 4.
Yes.
With 50 Cent.
Very good.
All right.
Very good, Vincent. All right. I know that was painful for you.
Yeah, it was. And like I said, I know he's had a pretty extensive film career, because I he's actually a deal breaker. Like, oh yeah, I'm not watching that.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm a fan of 50 Cent either. So
yeah.
Fine. All right. Number 2.
All right. Who's the next Jackson?
Here's the next Jackson in 6 films or less.
Tito, Jermaine, Joe.
Connect. Oh, they wish they had a filmography. They wish. To be fair, I looked them all up. I said, surely somebody put Jermaine in a movie.
Certainly Jermaine has been in a movie.
Nope.
Jermaine Jackson has never been in a movie.
Nope.
The Jackson 5 have never cameoed. Nothing.
Nope. Well, admittedly, I didn't look Jackson 5 particularly, but Jermaine, nope. Never been in a movie. It would have been too easy to do Janet.
Sure.
But none of them. Marlon, Tito.
None of them.
Well, nobody wants Jackie. So none of them. Reby. Not even LaToya. Well, the fair LaToya, but it was a made-for-TV movie.
It's really interesting.
All right. But I did find a Jackson.
Okay, and what Jackson is this?
In 6 films or less, connect D'Urville Martin to Shar Jackson.
From Moesha.
Yes. Yes, from Moesha, of Moesha fame.
I like Shar Jackson.
But she did have a small but film career.
No. I feel like we've talked about her.
We have.
Why were we talking about Shar Jackson on this show?
She was in at least 2 films that we have reviewed.
Really?
Yep.
So it would have to have been like a 90s young people-y.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're in the right ballpark. 90s.
It's like Notori Nugget in Lottery Ticket.
90s youth.
She's not an ATL.
Actually produced by a 90s youth company.
Right. Because I'm looking at Keenan, and we actually haven't done Fat Albert.
No, we have not.
She's in Good Burger.
Yes, she is.
She's in Good Burger. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So D'Urville Martin is, of course, in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier, who is in a film we should probably circle back around at some point. Maybe an anniversary, we circle back around to it, in Our Beloved Uptown Saturday Night with Bill Cosby.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Cosby is in Fat Albert.
Yes.
With Kenan Thompson, who, of course, is in Good Burger with Shar Jackson.
Very good, Vincent.
Yeah. What's the other movie that she was in we talked about?
Love and Basketball.
Where is she in Love and Basketball?
Her role is Felicia.
Oh, well, that helps.
So I'm assuming probably like a young girl.
Like a young girl. Okay.
In there.
Yeah, because she's like the love interest in Good Burger.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she also returns in Good Burger too.
I always liked Shar Jackson. I always thought I liked her. I wanted her to break out like Countess Vaughn on Moesha.
All right.
Okay. I actually like the Moesha cast.
I actually liked Moesha when I watched
No. I liked Moesha, but I thought it was like a solid cast. Like oftentimes these shows that are kind of star vehicles, everyone around them is basically a placeholder.
Yeah.
But I thought they had like a surprisingly strong cast.
Is Moesha streaming anywhere?
I don't, you know what it is? Because Camille was watching it last year, I think.
Oh, okay.
So it's streaming on something because she was like barreling through them.
Okay.
I like walk past the living room and just hear M to the O to the. It's like, oh, Camille's watching Moesha.
Which brings one thing to mind, actually. Did you see in the news recently that the Barbie company had put out an Aaliyah?
I did.
Barbie that
I did.
Sold out?
Of course.
I'm very surprised that Aaliyah, who had a relatively brief career, tragic end.
Yeah.
But a very relatively brief career. I'm surprised at the cultural hold she still has.
I am not.
At this time.
I am not. We're not that age group. Like, I think there's a pocket, particularly of Black women. Like, speaking of Brandy, like, there are people that will murder you over Cinderella.
Yeah, that's true.
Brandy Cinderella.
Yeah.
And I think that pocket for them, Aaliyah, really holds this space.
Okay, but those people that would murder you over Brandy Cinderella are probably the ones that I'm assuming this is why you're bringing that up, that they watched that at that time.
Right.
And fell in love with it at that time.
Right.
But I'm talking, and people who still cape for Aaliyah,
and I think
who lived through that time, I understand.
Yeah.
But that her Barbie would sell out. That's not just 20 and 30-year-olds going to buy that Barbie.
I think the people we're talking about are like 40 now. And who else is going? Like, how much was that Barbie going for?
No, I didn't know. I didn't even see.
Right, it was probably $100.
I just saw that it was sold out.
Yeah, that's 100% who's
so
buying.
So you think it's the collector's market that's buying that?
Yeah.
Those fans? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't think any children were getting the Aaliyah Barbie.
Oh, okay. I just wondered.
Come on, man. You know how this works.
But no, I sincerely wondered.
Yeah.
Because, we're about to review a film starring Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, who I can tell you definitively now, there are kids. I have a young 5-year-old nephew, Charlie, who knows every Michael Jackson step, right?
I think Aaliyah.
So I wonder whether or not
I won't compare her to Michael Jackson, but I think Aaliyah has a cachet much like Lauryn Hill.
Lauryn Hill?
Where like the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill came out in 2000 whatever.
Right.
But on every college campus, every little coffee shop, every little 17, 18, 19-year-old Black girl goes through like a little Lauryn Hill phase where they kind of quote unquote, not even quote unquote, because it's them. They discover the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Okay.
And it just kind of perpetuates.
So you think that Aaliyah is in that?
I think
in that slot.
I think Aaliyah is very much in that slot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm for it. Like I'm
for it.
It's sort of like like it's like Cinderella, that the Brandy Cinderella, Aaliyah, the princess in the front. Like hey, Black girls.
Oh yeah,
do your thing.
Amen. Amen.
So, but I knew it was going to sell out immediately. But I also believe that nobody under the age of 40 purchased it.
I would be curious. Mainly the demographics.
They're the only people with the money. I mean, again, like one of the things you and I talk about a fair amount offline, the concept of the boutique nerd stuff. Like the $200 action figure.
Yes.
Like I didn't get the USS whatever G.I. Joe headquarters when I was 11 in 1981, but now I have $500 to buy it. Like I just go in the Lego store sometimes and stand next to all the middle-aged men and look at the $1,000 Millennium Falcon.
One day you're going to pull that trigger, man.
Look.
One day you're going to pull that trigger. Wendy ain't going to be looking.
Look. Look, I don't want the Millennium Falcon, but boy, they got a Batmobile in there.
That's the one you keep talking about.
Boy, I've been looking at that Batmobile for like 3 years.
That's the one you keep talking about.
It's like $300. It's like $300.
Well, we'll know because it won't go home. It'll be right here on the set of the Michaeux Mission. Let's make a space, Dylan.
It'll be next to that $200 Galactus that I've looked at for a year. Every time I go somewhere, it's like, oh, it's so beautiful.
Len, I bought something for the set. Galactus is black.
It's huge. It's like 3 feet tall and has all the different heralds.
It's got a little silver surfer.
It does.
I know. I've seen it.
Oh boy.
I've seen it.
So yeah,
I've seen it.
That didn't surprise me at all that Aaliyah Barbie sold out. I know how this works.
Anyway.
All right.
Before we get into our review, I want to invite you, missionaries, if you are in the Philadelphia area this Thursday at 7 p.m., you can come to the Free Library of Philadelphia, the main hub right there on Vine Street, where Vincent and I will be doing a live podcast and talk back as we present the top 10 books that were made into Black film. We've got a whole list of the top 10 Black films adapted from books. We may even have a side list of 5 books that should be adapted into Black films. We're going to have a whole lot of fun at the Free Library of Philadelphia this Thursday, February 6th at 7 p.m. And it's free. We're going to be right there in the Skyline room. It's like, ooh, wow. It'll be nice. It may have to wear some black sneakers.
Bro, look.
And look nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So check it out. All right. It is now time for us to move into our review of Moonwalker.
Moonwalker, a 1988 experimental anthology film starring Michael Jackson. Rather than featuring one continuous narrative, the film expresses the influence of fandom and innocence through a collection of short stories about Jackson, several of which are long-form music videos from Jackson's 1987 album, Bad. The film itself is named after the dance technique known as the moonwalk, which Jackson was known for performing.
He was.
Moonwalker from 1988, directed by Jerry Kramer and Jim Blaisfield and Colin Shivers, with a screenplay by David Newman and stories by Michael Jackson. Was the choice of Len Webb. Len!
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Moonwalker? Show 'em on.
Lost brother of the Jacksons. Yeah, so okay, this is the part of the episode where I'm going to make some people mad.
Okay.
If my sister is watching, Les, turn off your YouTube right now. Because or Toya, turn off your YouTube right now. Because you're going to get mad at me. I I feel like I got to get it out of the way. I like Michael Jackson.
Okay, good. Good. Not controversial.
A lot of Michael Jackson songs that are dear to my heart. I am a huge fan of the Jackson 5 and the Jacksons. I remember them if the world doesn't. And I appreciate Michael Jackson, his singing and his chemistry and the mark that he made on the world. Okay, I do. I also have a hard time with Michael Jackson when he puts on the character of Michael Jackson.
Okay.
This, Peter Panish, man child running around, talking in this fake high pitched voice, can barely get out his word. This ring, this is for the cheese. It annoys the hell. It grates on me like fingers on a chalkboard. And Moonwalker, which, though I think you may have read it, a lot of people have said it was made in the prime of Michael Jackson. I would say this is probably just a little bit past his prime. He's starting to slip a little bit here with Moonwalker. Is right when Michael is leaning hard into that character. And this compilation of music videos / short stories that he compiled is evidence of what happens when that man child runs up across the man who was developing all the way up to this, all the way through his performance in Off the Wall, all the way through his performances in Thriller. When you get to Bad, which is what this compilation of music videos is coming in the wake of, you have a guy who is, one, starting to untether himself from his the musical master who kind of like guided his solo career, which is Quincy Jones. So he's starting to pull himself away from that influence and starting to believe his own hype, and not only believe his own hype as far as a musician and a music maker, but believe in his own hype as this person who is going to change the world with his music. And there's nothing wrong with if you really feel like you're going to change the world with your music, but then your music's got to be in alignment with that. And with Michael Jackson, you have somebody who really starts to muddy the waters in regards to the tone and the audience to whom he's playing to. And it all plays out in this movie, in this music video. These are videos from the Bad CD. So you've got Speed Demon, you got Leave Me Alone, you've got the remake of the Beatles, Come Together. And you've got music videos that are fit around them. And the music videos themselves are interesting. That's where their experimental part comes in.
Right.
Speed Demon is a music video that is all clay animation from Will Wheaton, who at that time was very popular with the California Raisins. Right. So, that was the mark of the time. That was the special effects of the time, right? That was Toy Story before, Toy Story. And so Michael leaning in on that, okay, it's a crazy story where he turns into a rabbit and he's chased by all his fans and all this other type of paparazzi and stuff. And we can pick apart the whatever narrative there is behind that. But that's the experimental part of it. And in 1988, that works fine. It's a cartoon. Michael does as much as he can into turning into his version of Bugs Bunny, more or less. In this, and it basically is a big long form Bugs Bunny cartoon. Now, Is it from 1988? So does it have some things that are a little icky? Like, sure, it does. Because even in 1988, it was still fun to make. It was still the coin of the realm to make fun of racial stereotypes, such as the Asian with their cameras.
Yeah, Japanese tours.
Along with the Oriental music overlaying it. Yeah. Okay, but that is of its time. But that's experimental. It works. You've got the Leave Me Alone video, which is absolutely gorgeous. Actually, won a special Grammy for that award. I mean, for that music video, which is done almost in this animated a collage of mixed media.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's like very much has the vibe of some of the shorts from Monty Python videos, where Michael Jackson it himself becomes this this amusement park through which you see all of these different facets of his life that the media has kind of like played up,
the tabloid
to
stuff,
bigger in life, all the tabloid stuff, the hyperbolic chamber, the Bubbles to Chimp, the room dedicated to Elizabeth Taylor, and all of this type of things. And he's kind of like sending them up in this video along with this song, which is just an okay song, but the video makes it like really stand out. That is absolutely amazing. And it's a standout moment in this video. And then you have the music video of Smooth Criminal, which everyone, heralds for a long time as one of the last great dance videos of Michael Jackson, that introduced him like the kind of like that, the gangster motif that he would kind of like wear till the end of his career, or unfortunately end of his life, in this video with the deep lean and stuff, and ode to 30s gangster films and everything like that. And that's a very sharp video, that music video. All of that works in and of itself. And if this was just a 30-minute compilation of music videos, it'd be fine. And they all talk to different audiences because they're, all of the songs at that are adult songs. They're not like, risque in any way, but they're definitely more talking to an adult audience. Even his remake of The Beatles Come Together, which is, like more of a rock concert video, but that still has more of an adult vibe to it, especially with him ripping off his shirt all over the place and moving and gyrating as Michael is wont to do. So that has like, still, it's for the teen or adult gaze. But the rest of this that is wrapped around this hour and a half movie is Michael Jackson leaning in to wanting to be this Peter Pan to kids, little kids, pulling little kids around, playing with little kids in the field, like running around with the fields. Come on, kids, let's play. They don't even know how to play with a soccer ball. They're throwing around a soccer ball. They're playing catch with a soccer ball.
I love that so much that apparently he doesn't know how soccer works.
He doesn't know how soccer works. I'm like, what is happening here?
This is fantastic.
And like the kids, there's one scene like the Smooth Criminal is built out to like this huge narrative where these homeless kids are on a roof and they're looking down at Michael Jackson getting dressed, and they're like, oh, there's Michael getting dressed. And then they see Michael coming out of his house all decked out in gangster lean. It's like, there's Michael looking all nice. And next thing you know, there's the Gestapo of machine guns shooting at him. Like just tearing up his building. Like, what is this for?
Then you get a flashback.
To the field. To the field where they're running like lilies in the field. All of a sudden with the sound of music. But hark, Michael the dog Skipper runs away with the soccer ball because he knows how soccer works.
Yeah.
And now Michael, who was playing in the field with 3 kids, but then just walks away with the one white little girl.
Yeah, into a cave.
Into a cave of spider webs.
Doesn't that look great? It's a wonderful visual.
It's just pulling her. She's like, Michael, can we go back? And he's like, Katie, come on.
Let's go into this cave.
Let's go into this cave.
Right.
Follow me into the cave.
That's
which
right.
in 2025 doesn't wear well. Michael Jackson pulling any grown man pulling a little kid into a cave.
1988. I don't know how much they were PSAs. Hey kids, remember if Michael Jackson ever shows up and asks you to go into a cave with him, it's perfectly fine.
I was waiting for Mr. T to come from behind a rock. No, you don't, Katie. Stay away from Michael Jackson.
Don't go in the caves with Michael Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. T. But
drink your milk. Say no to drugs. Listen to your mom and your daddy. Do your homework.
And go kick the soccer ball.
Don't go in the caves with Michael Jackson.
Stop it, Mr. T. Stop messing around with the kid. And then, but you have to go in the cave because if you don't go in the cave, you don't find the spider button that leads you into the secret lair of Mr. Big, played by Joe Pesci.
Yeah. And then Joe Pesci shows up.
In heels.
Yeah, in a top knot. Top knot. Yeah.
Like, what?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are we doing?
Mm-hmm. And he's in charge of all the drugs.
He's in charge of all the bugs and all the drugs. Right. And I want to addict the world to the drugs.
He just rattled off all the cities and how he controlled the drugs in all the cities.
Starting with the kids. And Michael is like, he can't do that.
Like, eat your heart out, Avon Barksdale. Joe Pesci control all the drugs. You want your corners, you can have your corners. He has Poughkeepsie.
And all of a sudden, somewhere in this film, Michael Jackson turns into a transformer.
As one does.
He literally, I lied to you not, turns into a transformer.
Yeah.
And starts shooting rockets all over the place.
I called him Michaeux Prime.
Well, he was. Because not only does he turn into a Michaeux Prime, he turns into Kit.
He turns into a car.
He turns into a car. And he turns into what was that? The show with the rocket? It turns into a giant robot. It turns into a giant rocket.
It's a Johnny Sacco.
Johnny Sacco.
Yeah, John Sacco thing going on.
He turns into a giant robot plane.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what is happening in this movie? And this is all a narrative where Michael, I think he has lines, but he's whispering.
That's the part that bothered you.
I don't know what the hell is going on. Who is this for? Who is this for?
Is this a rhetorical question, or you want me to actually answer this? Because I have an answer.
Save your answer.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Save your answer. Because I haven't gotten to the part at the end where Michael now, he's the movie says he saves the kids. Mm-hmm. He really doesn't save the kids. He runs. Michael just runs he runs away from the guns. He runs away from Joe Pesci. He leads the kids into danger. He leaves the people in Smooth Criminal to get shot up. And then at the end,
I mean, he does murder everybody.
Okay.
Joe Pesci's people. Like, he does technically save the kids because he murdered everybody.
True.
Okay.
True.
All right.
And then at the end, he leads the kids into what is, again, you find out is backstage at his concert. And he's like, come on, kids.
Eventually, you find out.
Eventually, because before it just looks like this corridor.
It's just him in a warehouse with some kids.
Just in a warehouse with some kids leading them. It's like, come on, kids. And this is this is the end. So it's like, this is the.
Remember, kids, if Michael Jackson asks you to go into a dark building, Going there with him.
And as he's walking through the kids, there's electricity just shooting out of one of the sockets.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And the kids get scared, and Michael laughs. Mm-hmm. He laughs at the kids. He's
That's
like,
right.
come on.
Fucking kids.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
This movie.
Yeah.
And then he leaves the kids with, of all people, Tootie from Goodfellas.
Yeah.
AKA Frank DeLeo, his manager, his real life manager, who actually was Tootie in Goodfellas. I'm not making this up. Mm-hmm. He leaves the kids with them. You'll be safe with him. And I'm going to go on stage and sing the Beatles songs. Mm-hmm. What is happening in this film? Mm-hmm. Michael. The thing is, if you never saw Michael Jackson in The Wiz, where he actually showed that he maybe had some chops as an actor, needed some training, but he actually has some chops. The natural charisma that is Michael Jackson.
I think
you actually thought that he might actually do something. If you never saw him in The Wiz and Quiet as Kept, if you never saw him in the long form video Thriller, where he actually does act a little bit, and he's not quite the man child. He's still basically like Michael Jackson. He's not all like the fake falsetto is there a little bit. Look, but he's still a man.
Just to interject with Thriller, my absolute favorite acting of Michael Jackson. In Thriller, in the beginning, when Ola Ray says, I'm scared and I want to leave, and she gets up and leaves, there is a split second where he looks at her and the anger in his eyes, where you realize it's foreshadowing. And I said, that's acting.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And I
love that moment in Thriller.
And if you saw all that, you think, hey, all this time Michael Jackson is looking for an acting role. It makes sense. He's got the chops. Maybe, start do another supporting role. But, he's big enough a star. Why can't he get a role in a film a la Prince made it in Purple Rain? Why can't Michael get his own Purple Rain? The reason is because Michael Jackson changed from Thriller and Bad, because I contend that this happened probably right after Bad was made. He becomes this man child. He becomes this Peter Pan character, and he never lets go of that for the rest of his life. And that is the biggest impediment in this mess that is Moonwalker. And mess, I mean everything around the music videos. In this mess that is there are possibly opportunities for him to show that he's got maybe some type of chops about him. There's some. If they bothered to write them, they didn't. And thus it makes absolute sense. The most real he comes across is in the very beginning of Speed Demon, when he's kind of like walking with his people. And even then you can see he's very stiff. He doesn't want to come out of the Michael Jackson character. And that is always going to be a losing premise. And that is why he was never able to find that star vehicle for himself. And ultimately, I think that is why this Moonwalker, which was the idea was to create this star vehicle. Hey, then nobody's going to give it to me. I'll be part of the creation of it for me. And it's a failure.
I disagree, but I don't disagree because I think the quality of this project is such that your premise is wrong. I think this film is so bizarre. Well, first and foremost, I could not take my eyes off of it from beginning to end.
Off of him?
No, this whole project.
Okay.
I think you have two things going on in this film that drew me in. I think, as you said, the film starts with this footage of him performing "Man in the Mirror," intercut with footage of people falling out, and it's complete ego. Like it's amazingly egotistical, but much like people used to talk about Muhammad Ali, I think Michael Jackson is one of the few entertainers that when you have these displays of ego, he's telling the truth. Like, there really has been no phenomenon like him at this moment. Like, after Thriller and, arguably Into Bad, like, Bad broke all kinds of records and stuff. Like, Michael Jackson throwing his arms out as if he is a Christ figure and people are falling out. You can say, wow, you're so egotistical. You're so like, are you egotistical or are you actually just reflecting objective reality? Like, people were actually just falling out.
They were.
So to start the film like this, I think you get this tension of this kind of ego, but then you have someone who can kind of back it up. Rolls into this montage where this sort of career montage of
from
him, from the Jackson 5 all the way through Thriller. And again, it is an excess of ego and sort of self-promotion. And this is who I am. But again, moment after moment after moment, even in 1988, these are objectively iconic moments.
Okay.
With the Jackson 5 and you go and throughout there and obviously all of the stuff from Thriller and the videos. And to me, that's kind of fascinating. That he's one of the few people you can really think of in entertainment history that is like pure ego, but then also pure talent. And they kind of meet together. So there's that. And just to skip ahead to Smooth Criminal, as you said, there are moments in here where you're like, oh my God, it's Michael Jackson. Like, for my money, you're saying it's the last great dance performance. I think Smooth Criminal is actually the greatest choreography in his career. Like that Smooth Criminal segment really made, like, I really was even sitting here watching it this afternoon. It's like, yeah, this is Michael Jackson. Like this, and this is Michael Jackson, I would argue, at the zenith of his ability.
Okay.
Like I think so much of Thriller was him coming into his own. And then true. This is a year after Thriller, or however many years after Thriller. But then I just saw, speaking of people that I think you have pure ego, but arguably they have the pure talent that matches the ego. I've been so happy the past day for Beyonce, winning album of the year, winning the country album. And the thing that I've been so happy, like she looked like she was genuinely shocked when she won. And I think so much of celebrity in the modern world is so kind of orchestrated and like you get the sense you never really get to see these real people underneath.
It's very more performative now.
Yeah, underneath this talent. And the thing that I love so much about Moonwalker is it's so unabashedly weird. Like, you can tell this is a moment where Michael Jackson's I don't even know if you have handlers in 88 like you do now, where someone would step in and, like we had a focus group and we ran the numbers and just the optics of this. Like, we've joked about him running into the cave with the little white girl. And like, there are so many moments in this film that are just amazingly bizarre. like you can
even for 88.
Even for 88, where you can tell Michael Jackson says something like, I should remake the Bad video, but do it with all little kids. And like,
that was a good moment, though. That was fun.
But it's so weird. Like, what was the purpose of this? Like, besides, like you said, who was the audience for this? And I think the audience is Michael Jackson in 1988. And no one can tell him no. So I'm going to make this Bad. I'm going to recreate the Bad video with little kids. Why? Because I think that's funny.
Yeah.
I'm going to have the claymation from the California Raisins because that entertained me. And now I want to do it with them. Again,
well, that's Michael.
I think, like I said, I think Smooth Criminal, that's the actual Smooth Criminal segment. And you get an extended segment, like I think so many of us since then, you just see the video and you forget this was an extended musical performance. But as you said, it's embedded in this completely bananas story.
I know. I know.
What is this?
It made no sense. Now, I will say, though, I'm sorry to cut you off. In that story, they do play homage to a very classic noir film, The Third Man, with a lot of him running through the streets in the long shadows.
Sure.
That is beautiful.
I don't know how many parts. I've never seen The Third Man. Is there a part? Oh, no, The Third Man, the Hitchcock film.
Well, it's not Hitchcock, it's Orson Welles.
I'm sorry, Orson Welles. I don't remember a part where somebody turns into a car.
No, that does not happen.
And then later on turns
into a plane,
into a robot,
and then a plane,
and then a plane, and emits destructive beams out of the mouth of the robot with the Michael Jackson yell. I was like, this is so amazingly bizarre. How could like this is 100% something that I would love forever. And then
really,
you talk about it going off. You didn't even mention Lady Smith Black Mambazo dressed up in the Smooth Criminal suits, singing a song called "The Moon Is Walking." What?
It's absolutely beautiful. That moment is absolutely beautiful.
Well, I'm glad you saw the beauty in it because I thought it was just so bizarre.
No, it's bizarre because it doesn't match against the tone of the movie.
But they have on the Smooth Criminal outfits.
Well, I didn't mind that. That looks.
He rushes into the club. You didn't mention the fact that the kids were in the club previously. Oh, yeah. And it was sort of deserted and dusty. And then when he walks in, it emits this light. So this was yet another week where I wrote in my notes, maybe they're ghosts. I didn't think about it. Maybe the Smooth Criminal people are ghosts. He's dancing with ghosts. Joe Pesci's people are shooting up the club. They're shooting back. Then Michael Jackson shoots a guy.
Here's the thing. Did you read or in the looking at the research? Michael Jackson, he pulls out a Tommy gun and he starts shooting it. That was improvised.
No. I'm talking about in the video where the guy's coming at him with the knife. And he turns around and just shoots a guy. Yeah, this is how I know there are no handlers. There is no focus group. This is just Michael Jackson. And no one is, again, thinking about it. And I do. Like, this is something. Like, you are never going to, like, Taylor Swift is never, ever going to do something like this.
Because her handlers will pull.
Lady Gaga, Beyonce, like Rihanna. Like, there's no possible way that these entities who are billion-dollar entities would be allowed to do something like this.
Yeah.
So just for that, I was like, this thing is insane.
It is insane.
Coupled with the legitimately interesting moments as far as the film, the type of film that they do, with the claymation, with the, I thought you pulling Monty Python was an apt pull because I really enjoyed the Leave It Alone segment.
I liked it a lot.
And I kind of disagree with you with him kind of playing to this persona, because there are moments in here where I felt like he was having fun. Like it seemed like he was actually having fun. Like I love the tongue in cheek of the Leave It Alone, where he's making fun of all of the Michael Jackson rumors. You know, I guess they're rumors. You know, it's like he's dancing with the Elephant Man skeleton. There's a moment in the Batter video that I've always thought was funny towards the end, where Michael Jackson and Wesley Snipes jump on each other's arms. They keep doing this arm thing, and it always looked weird. And then they make fun of it in here. So apparently somebody like Michael Jackson noticed how weird it looked. Him saying Bubbles was at home with a Prince t-shirt on, I thought was fantastic. So, just the sheer bizarreness of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then every 10 minutes or so, you're reminded, oh, right, this is Michael Jackson. Like you do get these moments where he's actually Michael Jackson. I enjoyed it. I realize I'm sure I saw it when it came out, but
I don't think so. It didn't. Unless it was on video, because it didn't get a theatrical release here.
It must have been on HBO or something.
Yeah,
I feel like I've seen this before, but it was so bizarre. It was so bizarre. How could you not love this thing?
Easily.
And to your point, I do think, like you said, this is the moment where he begins to become untethered.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it has just started.
Yes.
Yes,
because he hasn't gone on tour yet.
Right. Like I think a year after this, and certainly by the time you get to Dangerous,
oh God,
he's almost damn near an abstract concept now.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I think there's enough of him still there that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I'm glad someone did.
And I have to say, I'm going to call you out for somebody who said that you didn't enjoy it. You talked for like 10 minutes about all the parts you liked.
Because I like the music videos.
How much of this do you think, of the hour and a half, how much would you say? Well, did you like the entire Smooth Criminal segment, or just the part in the club with the maybe ghost?
Well, okay. What are you saying when you say the entire segment? Because technically, the kids up on the roof is part of the Smooth Criminal section. So no, I didn't like that.
You didn't like the kids on the roof?
I recognize the homage to Third Man. I recognized it when it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And the theatrics of that I liked. But the whole narrative piece that they were trying to piece together felt stupid to me.
You didn't find it just bizarre, like we talked about Michael Jackson pulling the girl.
It's bizarre, but I also think also think like the mixing of the tones like that is like, who is this for?
Again, it was just weird.
Well, okay, there's weird, but then there's also like, I understand you. If Michael Jackson, you're right. Michael Jackson is making this for Michael Jackson.
Yes. It's complete indulgence.
It's completely for an audience of one.
Yes.
Right? And you get in where you fit in.
Right.
Okay. Fine. I see that. Well, I don't fit in because in one moment he's running around with kids and dogs throwing around a soccer ball. The next moment there's hails of bullets going off all over the place.
Yeah, because he murders a lot of people.
Yeah, there's drugs being talked about. There's some Joe Pesci in a hair bun and Joe Pesci. Let's put it out. Joe Pesci, he grips up this little girl. He slaps this little girl around, and there are some scenes of it where it's in shadow, and there are some scenes of it where you see him slapping this little girl upside her head multiple times, and at one time throwing her down on the ground and standing his foot on top of this little girl.
I mean, he's in charge of all the drugs in the world. What do you want, Len? What did you think he was going to do?
Who is this for?
Look,
they didn't
We talked maybe, I forget when we were talking about this, a year. Like I told you, I was looking at all of the opening credits of the Sid and Marty Krofft shows.
Music videos that are for adults.
No, I'm not saying it's for adults though.
Those music videos, those songs are for an adult audience. They're not for kids. They're not for these. And I'm saying kids because these are kids. We're not talking about teenagers running around in this movie. We're talking about little kids that are maybe 10, 11, 12 years old running around in this movie, getting slapped repeatedly upside the head and getting Joe Pesci's heel stepped on their neck.
So are you against?
While Michael Jackson sits there writhing and pinning, stop it.
So are you against little kids getting stomped out just generally, which I think we can all agree is wrong? Are you against the depiction of kids getting stomped out?
I want this movie to choose a lane. I want Michael Jackson to choose a lane.
I think it chose a lane. Yes, the lane is him.
The lane is him. But then that's a window into what he thinks is acceptable. Yes. He thinks it's acceptable to put on screen.
Really weird.
Well, it's not.
And interesting.
But that's not something that I want to champion. And I wouldn't think that Michael Jackson want to champion that. And I think that people that are fans.
Interesting. Do you think like 3-4 years after, do you think Michael would have disavowed Moonwalker at some point?
If he was still alive, I think he would.
It's kind of like the Sesame Street anniversary box set where they had the warning at the beginning of the very first episode because they were all playing in the junkyard.
I think
kids, don't play in the junkyard.
Well, we
did.
We just mentioned about Graffiti Bridge. Unabashedly a bad movie. But Prince said that he felt that, it would be
we got it wrong.
We got it wrong.
We all got it wrong.
And it would be reconsidered 30 years later. But one of the things he mentions in there that he thought it was his most purest statement, and it had no blatant sex, right? Which to me makes me think that Prince, as much as he probably knows what Purple Rain did for his career, there are parts of Purple Rain that he probably like, you know what? If I had my dithers, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have come off as misogynistic as I did in that film. He had a moment, a second thought. Michael Jackson never got a moment to express at least the second thought. And I would like to believe that Michael Jackson, if he was alive today.
No, it was a bad guy hitting on her. I mean, it's not like he was a villain.
Yeah, but he's the tonal shifts in that. He was a villain, but Michael ain't far from a villain, pulling these kids around wet electricity, wet cords, and into caves with spiders.
I mean, clearly they're hobo children. So, nobody cares about them. Why doesn't
he buy them some damn clothes? He's walking around in $80 and $800 suits. Why can't he buy them a meal?
Because the air and the outside is their food. We're hobo children. We live in the outside.
I can't take them to the house, but I'll take you to the cave. Let me take you to the cave.
They were hanging out on the roof.
I did just hanging on the roof.
In the middle of the night?
What the hell?
I actually wrote my notes. Where are your parents? And I said, oh, maybe they're hobo orphans.
There were hobo orphans. So why doesn't he take... He obviously had a house. They were looking down in the house. They knew where he lived. Why don't you knock on the door and give him a dinner? Give him a block of cheese.
Bring them some beans that they can cook over a fire. and a harmonica so they can sing hobo tunes. Have like a stick in a bindle so they can travel as hobo children. I'm sorry, Len. I loved it because it was so bizarre.
How can you love
Because it was so bizarre. And again, we live in this moment where celebrity and everything is so manicured and so controlled and so filtered and curated and just sort of antiseptic. I really did think it was a breath of fresh air to see someone on this level.
Oh my God.
Involved in
fresh air.
Len, again, you cannot, like every little thing you see, every little thing that I'm on Jimmy Kimmel, I'm on Jimmy Fallon, I'm doing my little dance down the Jennifer Hudson dance line to go in there, and the celebrities, they sit down and they're just sort of automated robots. And you know, part of the reason that Shannon Sharp and some of these podcasts took off so much in the past 2 years is because you had these peaks at some level of celebrity, usually not the biggest celebrities because they're on these podcasts, but it was just sort of genuine. And again, for Michael Jackson, post-Thriller, to be involved in this weird thing, I was like, this is amazing.
Okay.
He just shot up, he just dragged a little white girl into a cave. And this is something that they said we're going to put out. It's just children running around on the rooftop in the street in rags. And he's not doing anything, but he's going to take them to the concert and watch, like,
that's all.
Like, that's all.
That's all. He ain't give him a meal.
No sandwich for you.
Matter of fact, when he walks into the concert and says, "Here go my manager," he grabs a drink.
Yes.
Did he get them some soda?
Are they about to sing "Come Together"? Can they play a guitar? Did they just do that lean like he did?
They just came from a heroin experience. Girlfriend just had Joe Pesci's foot on her neck. She can't get a Pepsi?
No. No, you cannot.
That's for the new generation, not you.
I was upset that her name wasn't Annie. He didn't even sing about her. He don't give a damn about her. Like, he don't talk about Katie in the song at all. He's very concerned about Annie. No concern for Katie. And now I'm going to turn to a robot. You're bugging. This is fantastic. Moonwalker is fantastic. Would you recommend?
No.
See, you're a hater.
That's not a hater.
You're a hater.
It's not a hater.
You're
That is not a hater.
All jokes aside, I think Smooth Criminal is worth the price of admission.
Okay, look up the Smooth.
I think if you've never seen the extended Smooth Criminal, it's worth the price of admission.
No. You can see Smooth Criminal video on YouTube. You can go see that. You can go see the Leave Me Alone video on YouTube. Speed Demon doesn't really wear well because it's a horrible song. But you know,
Speed Demon is terrible.
But if you want to go like look at the clay animation and check that out, the only thing that's possible,
the montage of their career was great.
I actually think that's on YouTube too. But the only thing that is maybe worth the price of admission, and I would say no, is Lady Smith, Black Mambazo at the end with The Moon is Walking, because it's a nice song, and I thought that moment was was like well done.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yes.
I never liked Lady Smith, Black Mambazo. I never liked. I never liked.
Michael Jackson pulling white kids into a cave, fine. Lady Smith, Black Mambazo.
I never liked them.
Nah.
I never liked them.
You don't like Joy.
I do like Joy. It's just, you know what it is? It's the way they were introduced to me. Like that sort of white baby boomer world music.
Okay, yeah, but they can't help that.
I know that's not their fault.
I mean, but it didn't influence how they came across.
I know. Like, to be clear, I think, that's what, but I do. Like, I was introduced to it, that's sort of Simon, not Paul Simon. That Paul Simon diamonds in the heels of my shoes. And then you remember it was that period. It was like you'd go to the record store and there was a section that just said world music.
Well, yeah.
And it just had all of it. It was like it was from Brazil. Yeah. It was from every country in Africa. It was from India. It was world music.
But some of it was some really beautiful music, though.
I mean, I guess. I'm sure it was.
Now who's a hater?
I mean, I was look.
I think you're sounding more like the hater.
No, but unlike you, I am embracing the fact that
you're a hater.
That this is my perspective.
So you're embracing your hate?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So say it.
Like, I didn't say Lady Smith's Black Mambazo was bad. Like, that's very definitive. Mm-hmm. I said, I don't like them. Mm-hmm. And then furthermore, I understand part of the reason I don't like them is the way they were introduced to me. Mm-hmm.
And that carried over to world music at large.
Right. And then at the end, when they showed up in the like they actually had them dressed up in the Smooth Criminal outfits. I was like, you know how I feel about getting dressed like I was like, Lady Smith's Black Mambazo, y'all don't got to dress up. Why they got y'all dressed up like clowns? You got to do that.
They weren't dressed up like clowns. They look fine.
Unless you were actually in the Smooth Criminal video doing the Smooth Criminal stuff, you were dressed up like a clown. The moment the song ended, if you were not Michael Jackson, you should took all that shit off.
That's our review.
I would recommend Moonwalker. I enjoyed it very much.
Very good.
It was bizarre. Mm-hmm. And I do think that there is a large percentage of it that you see the talent and the gift of Michael Jackson.
I think large is...
Large.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
Large. Well, I'm beholding. This is me beholding. Large. It's an hour and a half. I think you get a solid half of it of footage.
That's our review of Moonwalker. Before we tell you what we're going to be reviewing next week with a very special guest, I invite you to share your thoughts on this review and everything else that you have witnessed tonight by email. You can email us at micheuxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUXMISSION@gmail.com. You can always find us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, on our Facebook group at Michaeux Mission. You can always find the Michaeux Mission wherever you find podcasts, whether it be Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Please find us, follow us, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. That helps people find our show, which is also available on YouTube, where you are watching us as we stream live right now. You can subscribe, hit the bell, and be notified of when we go live, as well as when we put up all of our videos all during the week. The Michaeux Mission goes live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. from Young Junk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace. If you want to book yourself some time in one of the beautiful studios here of Young Junk, you can email our guy Dylan at youngjunk.com. That's DYLAN at youngjunk.com. The Michaeux Mission is also a proud member of The Podglomerate. The Podglomerate, they make podcasts work, such as ours, which will be returning next week here with our very special guest from the Sticky Note Conversations, Erica Washington. Is actually coming to town.
Very nice.
From Las Vegas, I believe.
All right.
To sit in live.
All right.
With Vincent and I.
Very nice.
To review one of the biggest films of 2024.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right here. Live on the sets of Young Junk. Right here on YouTube for you. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.
Young Junk!